Hi everyone. We're talking about meal prep today, but before I go right into that, I just wanted to remind you about Brio Bingo. You can get your card on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Don't forget. So as you do the activities in each of the box, you can cross them off, and then you can send in your card or let us know that you have one line done, and you can be entered to win cool prizes. Don't forget Brio Bingo. All right. So just getting set up here. Okay, so I'm excited to kick off today because we're starting off a new series called Everyday Tools to Transform Health, and we're talking about meal prep. Meal prep is a big topic, so I wanted to break this up in a couple parts. So today's part one, we're going to be talking about veggies and veggie prep. All right. Of course, how we live every day impacts our health. So this series is all about focusing on those super practical tools that can have huge health benefits. So today with our meal prep, hopefully this is really practical, applicable tools for you to make healthy eating easier to do. All right. So we all know that eating lots of vegetables are good for our health, but how do we do that exactly? How do we do that easily and consistently with our busy lives? That's what we're going to go over. So today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can eat more veggies, make fresh meals that you can change to suit your mood, make them in less amount of time and with less waste as well. Hope that sounds good to you. First, if we haven't met, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Carin Matsushita. I'm a naturopathic doctor and registered acupuncturist. I grew up being very active. I was a competitive gymnast and a competitive dancer as a child and as a teenager. Luckily, I grew up eating home-cooked meals with very little processed foods at home, but in my teens and my early 20s, I was overweight. At that time, I weighed about 35 pounds more than I do now. And I definitely don't exercise as much as I used to. Over the years, the changes that I've made to eating has made the biggest impact on my weight and my health. So I wanted to talk about meal planning with you because this has really been a huge part of my health journey. And I hope I can give you a few ideas to help you in your health journey too. So some of the challenges that I've run into, and do let me know if this is an issue for you with your trying to eat healthy consistently. I have no special cooking training or skills, and putting together a meal takes a lot. There's grocery shopping, there's chopping vegetables, which for me takes ages, planning the meals, of course, making them suitable for your family, and then even thinking about the nutrition. There's a lot to juggle in just putting a meal together. And so it's a lot to do all of these things together every day and multiple times a day, of course. So I know that when I'm in a rush, it's the veggies that get tossed aside first. For some reason, the proteins and the starches, that seems to be easier, but the veggies kind of get dropped off the list. And then that's where we end up having things like salsa and chips for dinner. That's a real meal that I've had. And we don't want that every single day. Of course, the other challenge that comes into play is we don't want to eat the same thing every day. Traditionally, when I've looked up how to do meal planning and prepping, we generally think about doing big pots of stews and soups and chili and prepping them into individual servings and having that. And this is great. I keep looking over here because my slow cooker is doing exactly that right now over here. But I've reduced doing that a little bit more these days because I found that I got tired of eating the same thing over and over again. And I also sometimes just wasn't in the mood to eat that particular thing that day. And I wanted to build in some flexibility depending on how I felt in the moment, but have something prepared so that it's easier to make the meal. So I needed that flexibility so I wouldn't get bored of eating whatever I prepared 3 days before. I really love vegetables, but I really don't like soggy vegetables and leftover vegetables. So I really want to find a way to cook the vegetables fresh every day. One of the things that I ran into as well is that even though I would buy lots of fresh, beautiful vegetables, at the end of the week, sometimes there would be vegetables that were unused and going bad, and then they would be wasted. So that's another challenge that I wanted to make sure I wouldn't run into. So hopefully some of these tips will help prevent that for you. So 3 tips essentially that I want to go over to help you to eat more veggies, eat them fresh and have them in a way that suits your mood in the moment, but also takes less time to make and of course prevents that waste of food at the end of the week. So I'll give you the 3 tips right off the bat. Prepare the veggies only one time. Instead of doing it every single day or even twice a day or 3 times a day, so that's like 10 plus times in a week, trying to just prepare the veggies one time. Second thing, mix and match. So you can be creative and flexible, so you're not eating the same thing every day. And I'll go into detail on each of exactly what I mean and how to do this. And then the third point is use visual cues in the kitchen to help support what you're trying to do. Again, I'll go into more detail on that. So first one, prepare the veggies just once or twice if that's what you need to do, but just not 10 times in a week. So if you're new to doing this, try to just do this for about 3 days ahead. I generally prepare veggies for about 5 days, so the work week, 5 days ahead. So what I mean by that is just washing, trimming, and cutting the vegetables like I done with the cucumbers here. They're already washed and cut up in a way that I would normally eat them. I like cucumbers just really plain and just eating them like veggie sticks. So I've just already cut them into sticks and put them in a container. Now this is probably a bit more than we would eat in one sitting, but we just take the amount that we need at the time. So wash, trim, cut, and put it into a container. Harder vegetables like broccoli, like this, that you normally eat cooked. I generally rarely eat broccoli raw. I generally like it cooked all the time. So I've already gone ahead and washed, trimmed, cut, and cooked them. This is just really quickly boiled for 1 minute, so it's still crunchy. And then I let them cool and drain and put them in the container this way, so they will be fine for a few days in the fridge at least. And again, so when I'm ready to actually cook, the broccoli's already clean and cut, and I just literally grab them and throw them into the pan or into a cookie sheet if I want to bake them. And because they're already partially cooked, it only takes a couple minutes, even with the baking high heat, only for about 5 minutes, and then that's done. So all of these kind of pre-made or pre-processed. And then when it comes to some of the veggies, if you can just pre-make the dish itself, that's even better. So you can't do this with a lot of, something like salad. We don't want to be making today and then eating it 3 days from now. But this particular salad you can. So there's hard veggies that are turned into salad. This one is a rainbow chard. You can sort of see the dressing in there, sesame dressing. This is actually a Rachel Ray recipe that I love, simplified version of it. But it's just blanched rainbow chard in this sesame, garlic, lime juice dressing, and it's really good. And it's fine for 3 or 4 days like this. In fact, it actually tastes better the next day. So I just do it up ahead of time, so it's already done, fully prepared as a dish ready to go. My husband right now has some pickles going in the fridge. There's just salted with a weight on it. So pickles are a good one to do, particularly light pickling. I have a video on pickles, Japanese pickles, that you can look at the recipe for that. But something that only takes a few hours to prepare ahead of time, and you can make a few servings, so you can have it over the week, and it's already made. So you've essentially got a side dish ready to go, like the pickles or like this salad, without even going into cooking anything at all. So that's just preparing the vegetables part, washing, cutting, putting it in the container. This washing, trimming, and cutting vegetables, for me, when I looked back at what was taking a lot of time and effort into my meals, it was this part. It was the chopping vegetables part. If that was all done, then I felt like, you know, being on a cooking show and just being able to grab the vegetables and putting it into the pan, that part was easy. But the cooking, the trimming and cutting vegetables part took the longest. So this is the part I would definitely do just once. Try to get all of your 3, 4, 5 days worth done and put into containers, and they will do well in the fridge, in airtight containers in the fridge. Okay, the next part is mixing and matching. As you can see, I'm already kind of building up a little bit of variety of vegetables here. Obviously, we want to be eating more than one type of vegetables. I get very bored of eating broccoli. After 2 days, I don't want to eat anymore. We want to have lots of variety for interest, but also for nutrition too. So what I would recommend is trying to have these 3 groups of vegetables in particular regularly when you're prepping. So that's leafy greens, colorful veggies, and sulfur veggies like broccoli. And of course, I will write this down so you don't have to memorize this, and I will give you examples of what I mean by all of these. But leafy greens, as it sounds, I've got a package that's already washed and ready to go. But these are, I think they're called power greens, but there's spinach, kale, baby chard, arugula, things like that in here. So that would be leafy greens, but also lettuce leaves and things like that would be leafy greens. I think Costco has a bag of this kind of thing as well. So it's already washed. You can just grab it and throw it into a pan, or grab it and put some salad dressing on it, and that's salad is done. So really, really simple. So leafy greens, one category. The second one is colorful. So bell peppers, carrots, beets, squash, purple cabbage. I would consider berries as part of this too. Trying to have it already washed and cut up in a way that you typically use it. So I often use bell pepper for stir fry. So this is the way that I would often cut it, but also just eating them as veggie sticks, this works as well. So I just cut it into thin strips. And obviously, or maybe not obvious, but I wouldn't normally eat this much in one meal. This is for over a few days. So just grab the amount I need and throw it into the pot. So there's the colorful. And then sulfur. Sulfur, I mean, is these cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, mustard greens, that kind of thing is a sulfur vegetable. Also onions, garlic, which I've already just kind of trimmed. You can definitely cut these up ahead of time, but I always cut them differently depending on different dishes. So I just trimmed them kind of ready to go. The garlic's in there. So those are also considered sulfur vegetables. So if you've got these 3 groups of veggies, you've got a pretty good nutritious balance. So if you can do, again, leafy greens, colorful, and sulfur vegetables. And I just got my leafy greens. Normally I would keep a little paper towel in there as well, because the leafy greens, of course, don't last as long. So we can kind of keep them nice and dry. Don't get too much moisture on them. They tend to last longer. Okay. Oh, and then I've got some cabbage here as well, which would be considered a sulfur vegetable too. So every day, what we want to do is try to eat a serving from all three groups of vegetables. So when you're preparing these just once in a week, try to shop for leafy greens, sulfur vegetables, and colorful vegetables. Look for those three groups and try to keep those in the menu every day. Another pointer here is you may want to think about sauces, and just to keep it simple, you can buy it or prep it ahead of time. Maybe that's hummus or making a tahini dressing or just buying a salad dressing. Keeping those in mind that matches with what the vegetables that you're having. Maybe a sauce for stir fry, that kind of thing, and have that in your preparation as well. Okay, and the last tip that I have when it comes to veggies and eating more veggies is using visual cues. Our habits are largely driven by what we see, what we're actually seeing in our environment. Right now, I'm reading the book Atomic Habits. I don't know if any of you have read that. Give me a thumbs up if you have. The author talks about this famous Lewin's equation, which is behavior is a function of the person in their environment. So what that means is our behavior is largely driven by our environment, less about willpower, less about personality. It's about our environmental cues. This is why if you walk into your lunchroom at work and there's a plate of donuts there, even if you weren't even thinking about being hungry or thinking about donuts, you just naturally go over to the plate of donuts and start reaching over for a donut. We are very visually oriented, and our habits are very, very strong with visual cues. So we can use this in the opposite way of a donut way to actually help us support our healthy eating and healthy cooking as well. So that means that our job is to set up our kitchen environment to promote the habits that we want to keep. So one of the really important parts of that, and really intentionally, I use see-through containers for my vegetables. Of course, once the vegetables are all put into the containers, I keep them in the fridge. And having the see-through container, of course, not only can I identify what it is that's in there quickly, but it gives me a visual cue that those vegetables are still there and they need to be eaten. And it reminds me that they're there. I also don't put them into the vegetable drawer once they're like this. I put them into the main section. Vegetable drawer crisper. I'm not really sure what that part is called, but you know, the drawers underneath. Those vegetable drawers, I put things like daikon radish or carrots that I don't plan to cook this week. Those kinds of things that I don't need to look at this week. I put those in there. Or the leftover cabbage from what I don't need to eat. So this is the portion that I'm gonna eat this week, and the rest of it I just stick into those drawers. So just being really intentional about giving ourselves that visual cue, having these vegetable containers right in front and center in the main part of the fridge to remind us to use them, and putting condiments or drinks or beers towards the back where we don't need to see them or don't need to be reminded of them. You can see behind me that I've got some herbs on the counter as well, and this is very intentionally put there because of course we can keep green onions and cilantro in the fridge too, but I tend to forget about them if I don't see them. So when they're on the counter, I can access them really easily. I can get that reminder to sprinkle some cilantro onto the soup. I can ask the kids to just easily grab them and sprinkle them onto the dishes as they're setting the table. It's just so much easier to access them right here and get that visual cue to use those. Another thing that I like to just keep really close by in the front and center of the fridge or even on the counter is nuts and seeds that I want to use for this week. I have a big bag of walnuts that I get from Costco, and I want to keep them fresh. So I keep the whole big bag in the freezer, but I tend to forget about things that are in the freezer because I'm not looking in there every day. So the portion that I'm using I'd like to use this week, I'll just pull that out. I might roast them or keep them raw, but I'll just put that out onto the counter or into the fridge where I can see them and can remind me to use them. This goes the same for bowls that are left on the counter. Instead of having snacks, of course, or donuts, we want to put things that we want ourselves to choose to eat. Maybe it's a bowl of bowls of apples, or maybe lemons and limes. I'm always looking for opportunities to put more lemon juice or lemon zest into food. So getting that reminder if it's sitting there on the counter can be really helpful. All right, so 3 things. That's prep the veggies just one time instead of 20 times in a week. I'm trying to do it all at once. I like to do this as soon as I bring the groceries in, before I put them into the fridge. Just start to prep the veggies, wash them all up, cut them all up. And of course, this is generally on maybe a Sunday where you're more relaxed. You're not trying to transition from work or anything. Put some music on and just take a little bit of extra time to just do it one time so you're saved from doing it for all week. Prep, wash, trim, cut all of the veggies all at once. And then secondly, mix and match those veggies. Remember, you're trying to do leafy greens, colorful veggies, and some sulfur foods or veggies, like onions, broccoli, cabbage. Every day, at least one serving of 3 groups of vegetables there: leafy greens, colorful, sulfur. So those are the 3 that I would look to try to get in your grocery shopping as well as prepping. And then lastly, use visual cues around your kitchen. So having the things that you want to eat on your counter, making sure that you can see it every day when you're walking into the kitchen just to have something to drink. You're reminded about that, having a little bit more greens. Just as you're cooking, you'll see the herbs there to remind you to put that on there. Even see-through containers so that you can see the veggies in the fridge, and then have all of these front and center in the main part of the fridge as well. So that will help you to remember to use those veggies. This has been a game changer for me to be able to just get so much more veggies into my diet and not waste as much, as well as just take the pressure off when it comes to actually the time to actually cook. I'm not looking at the whole broccoli or a cauliflower. That's very intimidating to me, to think about trying to wash and trim the whole cauliflower on top of cooking the rest of the meal, the starches and the proteins and everything else. So having just the vegetables done can be such a lifesaver. So I hope that you're able to get a few ideas from this to be add into your meal prep. I'd love to know what else you do for your veggie prep, what has been helpful for you. Please join me next Monday for part 2, when we're going to talk about prepping for with proteins and starches in your meals, and we'll bring all of this together with the proteins and starches and the vegetables. As a reminder, at 5 o'clock today, so just half an hour from now, Dr. Vanessa and Dr. Jeff are going to be teaching about a 10-day group metabolic detox. And this is at 5 o'clock today. This is a webinar. You do have to register for the webinar. The link is on our Facebook page. So please register right now if you're interested, because it will start at 5 o'clock. The actual detox is going to be starting next Monday, so a week from now on the 11th. But this is just some information about the 10-day detox, and then to answer any questions that you might have about it. I will definitely be there at the webinar, so I will see you there. Otherwise, if this Facebook Live today was helpful to you, or you think that it might be helpful for someone else in your life, please feel free to share this video, or let them know about next week when we talk about proteins and starches. Otherwise, have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.